Imagine an intelligence that doesn't just answer, it understands. An intelligence that doesn't just perform a task, it works to perfect it. An intelligence that can look back at its own work, its own, thoughts, and say to itself, I can do better. Well, this isn't science fiction anymore. This is the dawn of a new kind of AI.
You've been there, right? You're stuck in that absolutely maddening loop with a customer service bot, and you're getting the same useless answer over and over and over again. You know it's just a machine following a simple script, and it's so frustrating because, well, it's just not that smart. But what if all that frustration is about to become a thing of the past? So, here's the fundamental shift we're talking about. The AI we're all used to, it's basically a one-way street. You put an input in, you get an output. Simple. But now, researchers have added this revolutionary new step right into the middle of that process, reflection. And believe me, this isn't just some minor upgrade. It's a full-blown evolution. The AI can now process something, take an action, and then, critically, look back on what it just did, all to improve itself for the next time.
Okay, I know. At first glance, this thing looks complicated. But don't worry about it. Just think of this as our treasure map for today's journey. We're going to explore every single piece of this machine, one by one. And I promise, by the end, this entire map is going to make perfect sense. So, let's begin.
This ability to reflect has a fancy name, Meta-Cognition. It's really just an AI's power to think about its own thinking. Now, let's be clear, we're not talking about giving it a soul or a conscience here. Not at all. We're talking about giving it a powerful tool to learn and adapt in a way that, well, looks surprisingly human.
So what does reflection actually mean for an AI? It's pretty straightforward. It's the ability to look at its own thought process, evaluate the actions it took, and, here is the absolute key, adjust its approach for the next time. It's a constant, never-ending loop of self-improvement.
It's really as simple as a person realizing, that didn't go so well, let me try a different way. That right there, that's the core difference between just blindly following a script and actually learning from experience. This one little concept is the key that unlocks a much, much higher level of intelligence.
So how does an AI actually do this? It's not magic, I promise. It's more like a recipe, a combination of 3 brilliant ingredients that, when you put them together, make an AI truly smart. Let's pull back the curtain and see what they are.
All right, our first ingredient is a big one. It's called meta-reasoning. This is the process where the AI is actively monitoring and controlling its own reasoning. Think about that. It's not just solving a problem. It's watching how it's solving the problem and judging whether its strategy is actually working.
Let's go back to our map to see this in action. A user makes a request, and the first agent responds. The user gives some feedback, maybe a thumbs down. But watch what happens next. A second agent, the meta-reasoning agent, grabs that feedback and reflects on it. It then updates the system's internal preference weights. It literally rewires itself based on what just happened. That, my friends, is learning in real time.
Okay, ingredient number 2, self-explanation. This is where the AI has to actually justify its own decisions by creating an explanation for them. And this simple act has 2 incredibly powerful effects, one for you, the user, and one for the AI itself.
So first, there's transparency for us. The agent doesn't just give you an answer, it gives you a self-explanation. It might say something like, I recommended this hotel because it has high ratings from families and it fits your budget. All of a sudden, you're not just dealing with a black box. You actually understand its logic, and that builds trust.
But here's the really cool part, the inward-facing benefit. By explaining its logic, even just to itself, the AI can spot its own flaws. If a user gives negative feedback, the AI can look at its own explanation and go, I see. I focused too much on price and completely ignored those bad reviews about noise. This self-critique lets it fine-tune its strategy for next time. It's literally learning by having to justify itself.
And that brings us to our third and final ingredient, self-modeling. You see, to learn, an AI needs some kind of a sense of self. This is its ability to build and maintain an internal map of its own goals, what it knows, and what it believes. It's basically the AI's memory and its worldview, all rolled into one.
And right here, you can see how each agent has its own model of its goals and its knowledge. When it gets new information, it doesn't just file it away. It integrates it,
constantly updating this internal map. This becomes its memory and its ambition, a constantly evolving picture of what it is and what it wants to achieve.
So, okay, we've got the theory. An AI that can reflect, explain itself, and even model itself. But what happens when this technology escapes the lab and enters the real world? Well, guess what? It already has. This is no longer science fiction. These agents are already among us.
And you'll find these reflective agents hiding in plain sight. They're powering those customer service bots that are finally getting a little smarter. They're behind the personalized marketing that feels almost psychic sometimes, and they are deep in the high-stakes world of financial trading, sales forecasting, and those constantly changing prices on e-commerce sites.
Let's take Amazon, for instance. Their recommendation engine, it's using reflective agents to study your buying trends, what you click on, what you ignore. It reflects on all of that data to constantly perfect its suggestions. That's not just a simple algorithm anymore, that's a system that's actively learning from your every move.
Or how about the world of finance? A firm like Renaissance Technologies uses these agents to analyze past trades and current market conditions. The agent reflects on what worked and what didn't, and it adapts its trading strategies in real time to cut risk and hopefully find profitable trades. Salesforce's Einstein Analytics does something really similar for business sales forecasts. It makes a prediction, compares that to the actual results, and then reflects on any errors it made to correct its models for the future. I mean, think about that for a second. It's a forecaster that actually learns from being wrong. Okay. So we've seen the theory, we've seen the real-world examples. Let's put all of these pieces back together and take one last look at the full picture of this next evolution in AI.
We're back to our map, but now it should all make sense. This isn't just a complicated diagram anymore, it's the engine of an AI that truly learns. It starts with a simple request, which leads to a recommendation. It takes in our feedback, feeds that into a meta-reasoning loop for reflection, and finally, it updates its internal model. This is the cycle that leads to genuinely smarter decisions.
So we've seen how this AI can think and how it can learn, it can refine its own logic. But here's the final, provocative thought I want to leave you with. What happens when we give this self-improving intelligence the tools not just to recommend things, but to act in the world? That is a story for next time.
Hari!